Let's look at some anatomy books. So this one is George Bridgman, Complete Guide to Anatomy, Life Drawing, Drawing from Life. So it's a figure drawing book, and he starts off with basic shapes, like we've been doing, showing you how the body can be posed. Then he goes into the proportions and how many heads tall everything is. And I thought that I would look at how different guys draw the human head. So let's see if we can skip ahead to that. So here we go. The human head. Okay. And he starts with the skull. It's showing you what a human skull looks like. And if you can get your hands on a small plastic skull to use for reference, that would be really good. And then you too could understand how the skull works underneath the muscles and skin to make the human face. So he just sat and drew and drew and drew all these different drawings, how to draw the head, and how to do perspective on the head, so that when you're looking up or down at a human head, what's it look like? He tilts the head for you. He turns it into a cube and does different angles where the masses go on the head. This is a fascinating book about how to draw human heads. This giant hardback is a combination of a bunch of paperbacks, which you can buy the separate paperbacks as well. You don't have to get this giant hardback. And he has broken down all of his drawing knowledge into certain books. So anyway, you can learn how to draw human heads like this. What is this for? This is because for you to draw cartoons, you need to know, as the guys would tell me years ago, the reality, the real, and then you can do the exaggeration of cartoon drawing. Here he goes into different features like the chin, the eyes, ears, nose, and throat. No. And so, and there's the mouth. Then he connects it to the body, muscles of the neck and everything. But if you learn how to do this, then you can do cartoon drawing. How does that work? Well, let's say you have your character is this somewhat circle oval head. If you know how to draw a human head, you know how to exaggerate to make a cartoon head. Because they follow basically the same rules. All of this is gotten from drawing realistically first, and then turning it into exaggeration of cartoon drawing. So keep that in mind when I'm telling you to learn anatomy. It's because it'll help you as a cartoonist. Now, if I didn't know how all this worked in the real world, I wouldn't be able to do this cartoony interpretation of a human head. So that's why we learn how to do anatomy. We just start with the basics, and you don't have to keep drawing the realistic figure all the time, but just keep it in the back of your mind how it all works, and then it will help you in your cartooning. So until next time, keep drawing, and I'll do a different book in the next video. So I wanted to add a little bit about this book, this Bridgman book of anatomy, of drawing, constructive drawing, and tell you that he used to teach at the Art Students League in New York. And two of his teachers are guys that I respected so much. One was Norman Rockwell, and the other was Will Eisner. They obviously were in his classes at very different times, but I remember this story that Rockwell told where during class, Bridgman said, "We need to have a moment of silence because Howard Pyle just passed away, the first great American illustrator." And so that's the reason I got this book, because I wanted to draw as good as the comic book guys and illustrators that I liked. And they seem to know how to draw basic anatomy and then put their style on top of it. And that's why we get these books. Now this is, in my opinion, this is the best book of learning anatomy and drawing anatomy, because he starts with the human skeleton and shows you musculature that goes on top of it. And you can take that information and turn it into your style, your characters, and how you draw. You don't have to draw exactly like him, but you need to know these lessons so that you can draw your characters. That's why it's a fascinating book, because he shows you all this stuff about how to draw every part of the human body. And once you know the basic information, then you can draw what you want. Pick out parts that you are very weak at drawing and just copy those pages. That's how you'll get better at drawing a human body, human figure. And it will make you a better artist. There's a whole part about clothing and folds. So that's all I wanted to say about George Bridgman. And we'll see you next time. In the meantime, keep drawing.